Sliding into your screen is not just any coffee can. It's a Roastar coffee can. Don't need thousands. Personalize just one in Roastar's Design Lab. No design experience needed. Choose a pattern, add your logo and text, or create something memorable with AI. Being made in the Midwest, you can expect it on your doorstep in no time. Now that was smooth.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Coffee People podcast presented by Roastar Coffee Packaging, found at roastar.com. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm your host, Ryan Woldt. We're near the end of season 15. If you've missed any of our episodes, we'll curate them in our newsletter, which you can sign up for on coffeepeoplepodcast.com. You can also find them on your favorite podcast platforms, like Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Thank you for watching and listening, for liking and subscribing, and generally just appreciating the world of coffee, and of course the entrepreneurial efforts that we share that go into your coffee mug. Now that that is out of the way, I hope that you have a cup of good coffee ready, because it's time for another Coffee People conversation. We usually start these shows by I ask my guests to tell everyone who they are and where they are and what the name of their company is, what they do there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Brad Gutwein, Coppermint Coffee. We're based in Lafayette, Indiana. So we've been in business since 2007. We are a manufacturer. We're a roaster, a packager of coffee. We do K-Cups primarily. That's really a major focus of what we do. We also do large bags of coffee, 5 pound down to 2 pound. Then also we do 12-ounce bags down to fractional bags, like 2-ounce little packets of coffee. And so coffee is our focus, and that's what we do every day.
Coffee is your focus today. I know that wasn't always the case. I'm wondering if you give us a little background on you, how you got your start in business and hospitality generally. Where this all started from.
Yeah, really began, I guess in the early days, I began working as a young kid. My father had a business, and we were expected to, clean the office every Saturday, that type of thing. Whether it's mopping floors, filling the pop machine, the candy machine, whatever it may be, whatever was asked upon us, that's what we did. And like a lot of kids growing up, we would mow lawns and do all kinds of house chores, that kind of thing. I also had a leather shop when I was a kid. I started when I was 9 years old. I made leather goods like belts and wristbands and things like that. That was always kind of a fun thing. And then, played a lot of sports also throughout my life, football, basketball, baseball. So really had a great childhood.
Yeah, you used a term there. You were expected to do the work for the family. And I think that's an interesting way of remembering it. I have a very clear memory of quitting on my family business, which was a restaurant in Wisconsin. Going home, which was next door. And of course, a few minutes later, my dad showed up and asked what I was doing. And I told him I was quitting and I didn't want to work for less than minimum wage anymore. I think I was probably in early teens. And he said, okay, well, that's fine. You're allowed to quit. He goes, but now you have to work for free because this is our family business and it's how we pay for things. That expectation of supporting, family because they're family.
Yeah. That's very interesting. It's, when I say expectation, it was like there's always work to be done. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have a lot of idle time. We were expected to do the things around the home and then things to help in the family business on the weekends. And it was really, in retrospect, very good. Really good experiences to learn how to do things, learn how to take care of responsibilities. learn how to, properly clean an office, whether it's sweeping, mopping, dusting. And it really taught me also that there's nothing that's beneath you. That if you're called upon to do something or it needs done, you jump in and you get it done.
Speaking of family, I know now you work with your brother, and I believe your daughter has come on board as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you were first starting out in the family business and kind of working past that, being a kid working for the family, what was that like? I don't believe you were in coffee, or your family wasn't in coffee at that time. How did that all get started, and what made you think you wanted to follow that path that had been, I don't want to say laid out, but been role modeled for you?
Mm-hmm. I always had, I think, growing up in the family business, always had a desire because I saw I think the benefits of operating and working in a family business. So it was always a desire of mine to do so. We grew up in a business that my family business was a feed milling business. So it was livestock feeds, distribution business, and it was a business that had started in 1920 from my great grandfather, and that business survived over the years. And then when I went through school, I went to Purdue University, graduated in 1989. My first job was I worked for Marea Corporation for a period of time. I really didn't enjoy it, and I didn't have any vested interest in the business. And I thought, man, there's got to be something better. And my father's business kind of needed some help at the time. And so I left Marriott, joined the family business, and there was no looking back. Once I did that, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
I believe that business was, you mentioned distribution, but agriculture, bird feed at some point became a big part of that. I believe with your brother. At some point, you're running businesses. Your focus has to turn to coffee for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
What was the impetus for that? I mean, what made you think, oh, this is an industry that is appealing to me? I'm assuming you're drinking coffee at this point, and you're looking at your coffee cup. What happened there to make you go, we're going to totally change what this family focus has been all this time into a new industry?
It really, I guess it probably started even before I went to college. I grew up with my parents drank coffee all the time. My grandmother drank coffee all the time. Coffee was always kind of a staple of our day. And so I really saw the benefits, I guess you would say, of drinking coffee because it just brought people together. It spurred a lot of good conversations. It was a time of relaxation. When we were running our bird food company, which was Morning Song Wild Bird Food, I had a private label coffee made for our company. It was a bird-friendly coffee, and I thought that was really a great tie-in because around our facilities, we all drink coffee every day. And so why not have a private label bird-friendly coffee to serve to our employees and to give them as gifts, during the holiday season? And so once we sold that business in 2005, I began looking for a coffee business just because coffee just seemed to be the thing that interested me the most. I looked at other businesses that had different consumer products, but everything kept coming back to coffee in terms of what I was really interested in doing and what I thought I would enjoy for years to come. And that proved to be true. It has been. It's been a business that I enjoy. It's not without its challenges, like any business, but everything pointed to coffee, and it was the right choice.
You acquired a company when you got into this business, Copper Moon Coffee, instead of launching a new, say, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Gutwein Brothers brand, for example.
Yeah, Gutwein. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Gutwein.
Mm-hmm.
Apologies. Why look to acquire instead of startup?
Yeah, that's a good question. I felt it would be better to try and acquire a business if there was one available at the time that I wanted to purchase one. I felt it would be better to acquire if we could find a good foundation, a business with a good foundation, meaning a good group of people, a good group of capabilities that were already in place. And that would have been easier and was easier than starting it from a greenfield, and starting it from scratch. We also, along with not only the people, the capabilities, it's nice to have a book of business to begin with as well, to have some good cash flow right out of the gate, and to have people that already were knowledgeable in the category. So we were able to learn at a pretty quick pace.
How did you go about looking for this business? I find when I'm looking at businesses for sale, often I see people looking to get enough money to cover what they owe out of it, but not necessarily offering a smart business plan for the next person to succeed. So what was it that you saw about this business that made you think this was the right one? Beyond just there's some good people in a book of business, what was more specifically?
Yeah, it was a number of things, really. The location was really critical. The business was located in Indianapolis, which is near my hometown of West Lafayette, Indiana. That was a critical component of this making sense. If it would have been located, in some other state, that would have been probably a no. But this one was located in the right spot. It was also owned by a private equity firm. The private equity firm that owned it really, when I reached out to them to inquire whether or not they were interested in selling, they really shared with me that it's really not a core asset. It was part of a bundle purchase of something else they purchased. It not being a core asset for them allowed it to make sense for us.
Sure. When you say that, what I imagine is there's not somebody at this equity firm that's day to day paying attention, hands on, caring about it in the same way that I'm assuming you and your team does.
Yeah, they had some really good people, but they didn't have a long-term vision for what they wanted to do with the business. And so I think the timing was really good. And, many times that's kind of the case. If you find something, it's a good fit and the timing's right, it all can work out really well.
You mentioned the timing. You've had Copper Moon now for quite some time. What was it that you bought then, and what have you grown it into?
Yeah, I think what we bought then was a little bit of structure. We had a facility that was based in Indianapolis. It was a lease facility. We then moved the entire facility, all the equipment. Actually, we bought all new equipment, built a brand new plant in Lafayette, Indiana, which is about 50 miles north of Indianapolis. That worked out really well because along with that, we bought 25 acres of land. And we have, over the years, just continued to expand our facility and our footprint and our capabilities since the original purchase.
Once you buy this, I mean, it's different to think about it than to actually be in it. So I'm wondering, what happened after the purchase that maybe you weren't expecting? What sort of challenges did you meet, and how did you work through those?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. That's one thing I'd say about the coffee category. It's a really, really big category. It's 60 to $80 billion category. And it reaches globally, of course. So there are challenges, no question. It's a business that has presented many challenges. I think different challenges from year to year. Those challenges currently are the fact that we're dealing with green coffee at an all-time high in terms of cost. We're dealing with tariffs. So, that translates into dealing with passing along very necessary price increases to our customers, which we don't like to do, but you have to do it to maintain a healthy business. So those are the challenges. And it's interesting, we went for a long period of time where the cost of green coffee, which is green coffee is before it's roasted, of course. We didn't have price pressure on green coffee for a number of years with very stable market conditions. But that's changed in the last 18 to 24 months. So that's been kind of the most recent challenge. I think other challenges that we've had along the way, finding the right people to bring into our business. We look for really good quality people that share our values and share our mission. And we really like to find and have found so many good people that are just really great to work with. But, that's always a challenge, I think, of pretty much any business.
You mentioned tariffs, which is day to day. I mean, today as we're talking, I know it's going before the Supreme Court, and it is a very it's something that's impacting not just coffee, but everyone, because everything that we're purchasing is getting impacted to some extent. I'm wondering if the customers that you have, as you're saying, hey, our prices are going up, are you feeling that they're understanding because they're seeing the situation in the world as well, politically and with economically with the tariff situation? And are they accepting of the raised prices, or are they saying, look, we just can't do this anymore in this way. We need to find alternatives. I mean, what has been that customer reaction to you? It's one thing to say, we need to pass these costs along. But at some point, there's going to be a customer who says, yeah, we can't do that.
Right. Yeah. And it is a little bit of a blend of what you mentioned. Some are accepting and understanding. Some are understanding and not accepting. So they may understand these are the market conditions, but we're not going to accept. Those are the challenging ones for sure. And so you have to make some tough calls and find ways to, develop and build business with the customers that are really going to be reasonable to deal with.
That combined with a high sea market price, how has your sourcing changed over the last couple of years? In coffee in particular, a lot of brand identities revolve around sustainability and green coffee sourcing and how they do that. How does Copper Moon approach that? I mean, what has been the mission there and goal? You mentioned mission and ethos, so I assume there's something tied in there.
Yeah, we've been fortunately we have really good suppliers that have been very resourceful for us. So that's been really good. So we've had challenges. We talk about all these challenges. We've had challenges sourcing the right kind of coffees, getting them in on time. But at the end of the day, we haven't had any major hiccups, any major supply chain issues. But it's a little bit different in terms of where we're getting our coffee. And we're making sure that the integrity of all of our blends is maintained. And I think for the foreseeable future, we'll continue to have some of these challenges, maybe until these tariffs are relieved. Hopefully the cost of coffee comes down when the tariffs come off. That would be ideal.
I feel like once things go up, they rarely go back down, Brad, but that's just my experience. When I'm reading through your website, Googling, Copper Moon Coffee, and I find that there are a lot of things that you support, causes or connections. There's a whole space science STEM connection listed on your website, which was unusual. Most coffee businesses and most businesses have things outside of that they are passionate about, but that one I felt was unique. Why the focus there, and how do you use this platform and this company you have to do other things in the world?
Yeah, good question. The connection for us to space is really kind of goes back to in 2019, we wanted to do a real brand overhaul, and not just a refresh, but a real brand overhaul. And we wanted to capitalize on the name Copper Moon. And I think in doing that, we just kind of took a step back and we said, well, let's think about, how our brand could be very authentic and really talk about not only the Copper Moon, which is the perfect alignment of the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon. It's a total eclipse. But we wanted to align ourselves with things that made sense, that were transparent. And so we thought it would really be great to capitalize also on the the surging interest and activity in the world of space exploration. And so as we began to think about that and think about the fact that, well, we're also in West Lafayette, Indiana, the home of Purdue University, the home of the cradle of astronauts, and all that's going on in space exploration, we thought it would also give us an opportunity to have a brand, develop our brand in a way that would be less serious and more fun. And it'd have a little bit of blend of both, but it would be less serious than what a lot of brands we saw were pursuing, like a real serious, pretentious kind of identity. And we didn't really want that because that's not who we are. We're a family business, and we wanted to really be able to portray the right kind of branding. So we redid all of our branding with a theme of space and space exploration. And then we thought, who could we connect with and support that is connected to the world of space? And so we reached out to the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, which is based in Florida, and developed a really nice partnership with ASF. That partnership began in, I believe, 2020. It's really been nice. It's really been good because we've hosted astronauts at our facility in Indiana, given them tours of our facility. They've tasted our coffees. We had great discussions and really nice opportunities with them, not only at our facility, but then every year we attend the ASF Gala in Cape Canaveral, where we're a sponsor of the event. We're one of many, but we're one of the sponsors of the event. We've donated over $75,000 to them and have provided 5 scholarships that are given to students that are pursuing STEM degrees. So,
has any of the Copper Moon coffee made it up into space? I know weight is pretty restricted there.
Not yet, but that is in the game plan.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Speaking of Florida, you're the CEO of Manatee Coffee as well.
Uh-huh.
How does that fit in? Why look for another brand separate from Copper Moon?
Mm-hmm.
What was it that intrigued you enough to make that leap later on in this business?
Yeah, Manatee was an opportunity that we saw. It was a brand that was started probably in around 2005, I want to say. And we were looking for a brand that would have more of an ecological identity, and it would be kind of a cause-oriented brand as well. And we noticed the Manatee brand in the Florida market. I approached the owner of the brand, and we purchased that in 2010. And it's really been a very good direct-to-consumer brand for us. And also, we are on the retail shelf and some club environments as well with that brand. And it's growing. It continues to grow every year. With that particular brand, we support various organizations like the Moat Marine Lab. We support the Save the Manatee Foundation, the Clearwater Marina, and a few others, like Friends of Manatee Lagoon. They're doing the work to support manatee habitats.
I don't mean to be terribly cynical, but sometimes cause-based brands in all industries, they either lean so far to the cause that they forget about the thing that they're selling because you're just paying for the cause, or they're using the cause kind of just to sell, a product, which I'm pretty okay with as long as the money's going to the right places.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find that balance, coffee versus cause? How do you say, like, well, we're selling this idea that we're supporting this thing, whether it's STEM or manatees or whatever, but we're also trying to give you a product we hope you'll enjoy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for us, which I think that's a really good question. For us, coffee is always first. We are first coffee. And we have to have a very good, high-quality coffee, because if we don't have a coffee, you can't support anything. So we have to have a really good quality coffee. That's really our focus. And the more success we can have with the coffee, the better support we can provide to a cause.
There's a program in the Midwest. I'm not sure if Indiana has it, called Junior Achievement. Are you familiar with that program?
I am. Yeah.
Young business entrepreneur program that I went through as a kid. And I think it's a it was a good example of this idea that sometimes people will support things
Mm-hmm.
just to support them, even if the product isn't great. In that case, I was selling, I think, popcorn baskets, right?
Mm-hmm.
For I don't think anyone really wanted to pay $10 for a popcorn basket, but they supported that program at the time. Does it matter to you if your customers care one way or another about the causes, or is the idea that we're just going to get this out there? I'm assuming these are causes you are also interested in, and
Mm-hmm.
or your team is in a way.
Yeah.
Is it a situation where you're like, any avenue into their life to present this thing that we care about, or does it matter that they care about the coffee, or do you find that they care one way or another?
I believe that they do care about the coffee for sure, because the repeat sales would indicate that. I think it would be interesting, and we don't know how many people are really purchasing the coffee because of the cause. We believe there'd be a pretty high percentage, but not sure.
We've mentioned several times, family business. Uh, who in the family is part of this business, and how do you put up with them every day?
Yeah, so of course, myself and my brother Kerry, we are the ones that purchased the business back in 2007. And currently in the business also is my oldest daughter, who is our marketing communication specialist.
What is the benefit to working with family? Why make that choice as opposed to, say, go out into the world and find someone who matches your business ethos or
Right.
your mission?
Yeah.
What are the benefits? What are the challenges that led you to that with your brother and now with your daughter?
Yeah. Well, with my brother, he he and I have worked together since we were kids. So we know each other really well. He is wonderful to work with in so many ways. He has great capabilities, he's a good, steady, hard-working person that just understands a lot of things about business. So he's a joy to work with. There's also a tremendous level of trust that you have when you work together your entire lives and you understand how you work, how you think. Now we don't, always think the same on everything, and that's healthy. That's good. We don't always see the things the same way. That's healthy and good too. We're always interested in the best outcome, for the business, and so that's been really good. And then my daughter, really, she began doing an internship with us in her final semester of college, and we had no intentions whatsoever for her to come into the business. She was going to graduate and go pursue her own career. That career just happened to be in social media marketing and communications. And as she did the internship, we're like, wow, this is really good. It just made sense. And she was the best talent that we could find and continues to be great to this day.
I worked with both of my parents and with my dad more specifically, and now that I don't, I sometimes wonder how on earth did I survive that. But I also bring these wonderful life lessons, and I talk about it quite a bit on this show. How do you feel about the idea that this family business will continue to be family, or that your daughter is going to kind of continue bringing it up? I know you had mentioned early in our chat that there was a family business this whole time, and even though it's not called the Gutwein family business, how does that make you? What is your feeling about the legacy of that, and in particular in the Indiana region?
That's an interesting question. I don't really think a lot about legacy. I would say I probably think more about like lasting impact. I think about our people that work at Copper Moon. I think about their families, really the difference that we can make just running a good business, the difference that we can make by them working at Copper Moon, the quality of life that they can have by working at Copper Moon. So I think more about that than I do even about needing to be sure we pass this business on to the next generation. I think about today, let's make sure that we're doing things really well, and taking care of everybody that devotes a lot of time and effort and energy to making Copper Moon what it is today.
Roastar Coffee Packaging supports this show, based out of Wisconsin, just north of you there. They've asked me to try to glean some advice for other entrepreneurs. And so you acquired this business. What questions should young entrepreneurs who are considering buying a business or buying into a business, what should they be asking? What advice would you offer them if they came to you and said, "Hey, Brad, I'm thinking about getting into business. I think I'm going to look for something to buy. What should I know?"
I think about the way I went about it, and that's kind of all that I know, is that I would ask and did ask, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my time? How am I wired up? What am I made to do? How do I want to invest the next, several years in a career? And then I would consider, what level of risk am I willing to take? And then what type of business do I want to operate? I look at these other so many different, whether it's consumer goods or industrials or technology, whatever it may be. And then I would find that area that seemed to be of most interest to me. And that was really the process I went through. And that's why I mentioned earlier, I kept coming up with coffee. Coffee was still, piquing my interest more than anything else.
You mentioned what level of risk you're willing to take on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that a lot because the level of risk that I'm willing to take on has to also match up with the level of risk my wife is willing to take on as a small business. And so when you're working with family or you are taking on a challenge, you have to make sure everyone's on board. Because if they're not supportive, it's going to be real tough to come home and say we had a bad day. And tomorrow there'll be a good day. What do you do when businesses, how do you stay uplifted? How do you stay, pushing forward when things are challenging?
Yeah, that's a good question. First is my faith, honestly. I think if you have a rough day yesterday or a rough day today or tomorrow, whatever, it all really in the big picture of things isn't a big deal. I'm grounded in my faith in Christ. That's number one for me. So I really get most of my daily guidance in God's Word. So that's number one. I also have an incredibly supportive spouse. My wife is the best, encouraging, supportive. And most things are pretty temporary. Most of our problems, most of our issues, challenges are pretty temporary. So if you can push through, have a hopefully positive vision for what the outcome would be, and keep moving, keep fighting, stay passionate, stay connected, have good friends around you, people that you can talk to. That's been my approach, and it's worked for me.
I only talk to the dog. And he never, he always agrees with me, which is great. I don't mean to presume that you're a football fan, but if you are, Indiana football is kind of having a moment up there. How excited is everyone in Indiana?
That's a very, very good question. I've got to say, I've watched more IU football this year than ever before, and I'm a Purdue grad. So the IU football team and the folks there have done an incredible job. They're a pleasure to watch. I've definitely had more comments about being a Purdue fan, this year, of course.
Well, they're finally tasting a little bit of the joy that you've already experienced in your life. That's kind of how I look at it.
So the only thing I have to shoot back right now is, Purdue basketball is ranked number 1. So we've got that.
And college basketball just started. I've been looking forward to it myself. What comes next for you and for Copper Moon and Manatee, or for this coffee business that you've been building and are continuing?
We continue to be innovative. We continue to want to increase our market share. We're focused on doing that, whether it be brick and mortar or direct to consumer. We continue to be challenged by many things that present, good opportunities for us. So our mission really is to continue to grow the business, stay innovative, stay hungry, and continue to find great people to work with in the company and great customers to acquire to grow our business for the future.
Did I miss anything today that you wanted to mention, or that we just, I didn't give enough time to?
I don't believe so. I think it's really, really good. I think your questions are great.
Oh, I appreciate that. Brad, my last question for everyone is always, when you stop into a brick and mortar cafe, what are you going to order?
I always go for I go for an iced Americano. Double shot iced Americano is my go-to.
Even in the wintertime?
Even in the wintertime. Yep.
Oh, man. Those Indiana winters can be a little brutal.
They're brutal. Yes.
Brad, I really appreciate you being here on the show and giving us some of your time. CoppermoonCoffee.com, ManateeCoffee.com. We're going to share all of those links in our show notes and our newsletter, which anyone listening can find if they search for Coffee People Podcast, coffeepeoplepodcast.com. Thank you for listening to our friends and supporters like Roastar Coffee Packaging. Thank you for helping us share the stories of coffee people like Brad. Cheers, everyone. Don't forget to tip your baristas, and thank you for drinking good coffee. Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Brad. I just wanted to pop in here at the end to say thank you for listening and sharing. Please tip your baristas, and be sure to drink good coffee.